So
We're live, Mayor.
are we live?
Yes, sir.
So, just to recap, we're gonna start. We're live as Pete mentioned just about some comments on the election. And I'll say this is first and foremost, I really appreciate both Haley Ewell and James Abbey for having what I consider a very positive, very amicable, and a good election. I think everybody that I've heard really respected both candidates. We had two very strong candidates, and they were only separated by 5 votes, which is, I think, the second closest election that I'm aware of in the history of Nassau Bay. And another for those who watch these, first time ever coming out of early vote, which is the combination of ballot by mail and the early voting at the booth. Both candidates were tied coming into election day. So it was really 5 votes that were cast more for Haley Ewell that created the amount that carried her over the top. So I know both candidates worked hard. I really appreciate the work that James has done. I know Haley is very energetic herself, so I think the Nassau Bay benefits from these elections. So I think it's going to be, I think it's good for us. I also believe that's what makes this country great. I'm a sap a little bit. I get on my soapbox, but I think it's what differentiates us from other countries in the world. But in any event, the election results, and I think here a question came up for the people online: is it final? I've gone on to say yes, I think these are final, but there's one last caveat, which is if you're in the military and serving abroad, you have until 5 o'clock today in order to do that. And I do not believe we have anybody abroad that's registered to vote in the military. So I believe these are extremely final, and I've already called and congratulated Haley. So that's where I believe the election. We will be canvassing the election. I believe it is Tuesday, the 14th. So the May 13th one will be James. James will still be the sitting city council person. And then we will have, like I say, juice and cookies in June to thank James for his contribution and to welcome Haley. And she will be formally sat at the June, I believe it is the 10th, June 10th meeting of City Council. Welcome. So. But in any event, that's what's going on there. The other thing too is I really want to put a plug for the street eats that we're going to have May 18th. We've got and Paul, I will give the specifics around the bands and the music. It's going to be a great event, and it's 2 things that I really am looking forward to is the unveiling and the launching of the movement of the Chris Reed plaque to right in front of the courtyard in that area there, in the exact opposite side of where the fallen responders memorial is. So there'll be that on one side and Chris Reed on the other. It's going to be lit up. We tiled the area inside there, so we're going to christen. That's the word I was looking for. Christen the new location. I think the Reed family is going to be there, and a suggestion by Paul that's why it's on the 18th is it's Armed Forces Day, and that's also in recognition of some of the people who are the veterans. But it was also Chris Reed was a veteran, and we figured it was really appropriate to not only christen it but to celebrate on Armed Forces Day. Okay. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Anybody watching the live stream, it's coming up as a city council meeting, 4:15, and trying to change it, but I may have to shut it down. But it's not a council meeting; it's a coffee. Mayor talked about the street eats. We're going to be displaying all the armed forces flags and the median. It's going to look really, really nice. We've got Trey from the Faye with his band. He was on American Idol. Really excited about that. And as the mayor mentioned, the Chris Reed, the dedication, that is going to look really, really good. We're really happy for that. A few other things that we're working on. We have put in an order for a new sign out front.
Sorry.
Oh,
You're going to get a little.
okay,
bit out of
yeah.
here.
And getting a new sign, and our sign is 10 years old, can't be repaired no more, and that money will be taking out the, I believe it's the hotel motel tax. And what's good is that we'll be able to change things. We can change it on our phone. We won't have to go to a computer and do all that. We'll be doing advertising for the hotels on it. So pretty excited about that.
Hey, Paul, just for clarity, you're talking about the sign right after?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. The pixels are going to be a lot better. It's hard to see. It's just old technology. A few other things that we're working on is we replaced on the solar lights along the David Braun Park. There's 50 that kind of wrap around it. And one of the areas of concern was from Founders Park walking to David Braun across the Spillway Bridge. It now has a LED retrofit on top of it. And the way it works is at night, dusk till dawn, we don't have to get on our iPad, set all that stuff. This is very easy technology. Comes on dusk till dawn, and then you walk by it, and it goes from 30% to 100%. And the old lights were probably running out maybe around 3 in the morning. We've checked them at 6:30, and they're still on. So we're pretty excited about that. It's a pilot program. We're just seeing what's out there, what's the best bang for our buck.
And just go to the cost. It's like you think this is going to be 800 to 1,000.
800 to 1,000. 800. So if you see it out there, leaving Founders Park, as soon as you come toward David Braun, it's a different shape. And for what you see, there's right at 800. If we want to remove the solar panel, but it's not hooked up to it, it's just to save money, we can have the pole painted white, and it'd be about an extra $150. So either 800 or 1,000.
So let me, for the people online and the people here, please take a look at the light. There's two things in particular Paul mentioned that I'd like feedback on, just to get community input. One is the look of the pole. It is a very thick pole. It is a very black pole, and those things here, those solar panels collect insects and things along that line, but you can't really see them that much. They impacted the ability of the solar light to work. So we can leave that on there if we want to. The other is if you look at the top, it's kind of almost just like a halo. It's just a ring at the top. Mm-hmm. I would very much appreciate any comments, any discussions on the aesthetics of the top of the pole. I'm thinking it looks too modernistic, but I would really don't want to be judgmental. I want to hear from people, because there's going to be 50 of them if we do this. It's not just going to be one, it's going to be 50. And we're really pleased that the light that was put up by, heading to Founders Park, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's holding up. We didn't think it would. And but the solar panels these days and the LED lights really generate more power and conserve, or don't consume as much power. So it's lasting. So we have some options, and a low cost one, just like it is, we could replace all of them for about $50,000. I believe that we probably need to look at the aesthetics, and I'd like to hear from what people think.
And that's something that we could, depending on what the residents like, we could phase it in. We have some lights that are working, something we can phase in. Also, maybe looking at option run electricity if we want to. That's pretty expensive.
Really.
And
That's,
so,
that's the $1 million
yeah.
option.
and so it's really nice. As the mayor mentioned, the guys always have to get in, remove the glass, clean all the bugs out. This is a no glass. It's bugs go right through, come out the other side. We're really impressed with it. We're really liking it.
There is a citizen in Nassau Bay who has a solar lighting business. So they're gonna look at different options for the aesthetics and also present, what they would charge if we did like 50 different ones. So we're getting options. We're not trying to do anything, ad hoc or quickly. We want to make sure, one, we address the safety down in the park. I think a lot of people talked about how dark it is and how we've had some incidents in the park, and that lighting is becoming more important, and we want to make sure we act on it.
They have a warranty?
Long gone.
No.
The new one, I'd have to look at it. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Hey,
So, Paul, what would you say is the usage of the park at dark when these lights would come on? Is it worthwhile the expense when the amount of people actually used in the park when it's dark is, to my experience, is very low.
What I find, Pete, is the park doesn't close until 11 p.m. and there is numerous people who walk the city at night, between 9 and 11, and it is very dark. And so I do believe there are morning runners and there are evening runners, and so I would say it's more than you think. The other two is from a standpoint of just lighting. What time does the park open? 6?
I think
5 in the
yeah.
morning. So there's the early morning runners too. That it's dark. So I think it's more of a safety issue than at first blush.
So
Make sure I understand. You're thinking, where the lights are down at the park?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about putting solar lights in place of those? Or?
So those are already the black lights.
then black light. So if you're at Reflection Garden, say if you're at Reflection Garden and you look to your left, you'll see the black solar light.
Right?
Those are the ones we're talking about.
Okay.
And then if you go to the right,
They're gonna be rewired.
or
Yeah,
just
correct.
it's just
So-
solar. It's just mounted on top.
Yeah. So the new solar panel and light is what's being retrofitted. We wanted to see if we could retrofit something and what it would cost.
And so, Pete, just to answer your question a little bit more, we have been transitioned to LED in the parking lot at the park. And matter of fact, we had some complaints. It was too bright, so we had to angle them down. So as far as the parking, the pavilion, the tennis courts, all that area is lit up. This is more if you're on the trail.
The perimeter.
The perimeter, yeah. If you're on the
Yep.
water's edge, going back toward Harbor and going back to Peninsula, that's really what this is.
So the intent would be to have these lights from Founders Park all the way to
Back
the
behind
peninsula,
the wastewater plant,
right?
the
Yeah.
shoreline of David Braun Park, and then back to the peninsula.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's a walking path.
Mhm.
I asked about the warranty because the batteries will have a limited life
Yes, sir.
and
Yeah,
they'll need replacement.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, every 3-4 years maybe.
Yeah. We'll look at
That's what-
we'll look
that's
at
why
the
I asked
warranty.
about the warranty.
Yeah, and it's the battery pack, the solar is everything is on top. So actually, the electricians that's doing a retrofit put up this pole for us, but we wanted to move it because we knew there were some issues for security from Founders to spillway. So our guys actually moved it, and it was super easy, super user friendly to install, and so we can probably save some money there with the public works guys installing them. One other thing on talking about David Braun Park, we've got all the goals in, the backboards. We do have some retrofit fabrication welding that we need to get done. So we're hoping that gets done in the next couple of weeks. and then we'll shut down the basketball court, get it resurfaced.
Timing for that though, relative to July 4th? You think it'll be
Should,
done before
it
then?
should, yes, sir. Yeah, it takes about 4 days for some, they come in, power wash it, resurface it, give it time to cure, so
Okay.
we should be good. For also on David Braun Park, we've already issued the PO number to have the gate installed at the entrance of David Braun. That's going to be a Knox box for first responders, PD, fire. So even if it's raining, they'll have a remote, they'll hit it, gate opens, they can drive back there. Public Works guys will have the keypad, and then the Knox box will be for fire, PD. So we're hoping to get that in within the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And so that would be, I think the way it's going to open in toward the left and toward the right.
And just so everyone knows, it's not concrete yet. The discussions are still quite vigorous, is just, should we have cameras down in the park, particularly around the children's play area? Two things that are incidents that people may or may not be aware of that we've had down there, which is, I think most are aware that the duck feeders have been pulled because they were damaged extensively by someone which we don't know. And then there's also a book area, a little book library for children, where we've actually had people put some pornographic stuff in there. So you tie that in with the vehicle that destroyed the basketball court, and we're putting a lot of investment in. So just from an overall safety and asset preservation, we're thinking very hard in regards to what cameras, what type of video recording that we put down there, because it's the same thing we're going to have to do something for the water treatment plant because it's wide open. We're looking at hardening that from security standpoint, as well as some things here. But the park and the parks have come up in regards to children's safety. Just the damage that we've seen. We had the vandalism at Swan Lagoon prior, if you remember, that there's a strong view that there needs to be some camera video.
Okay, so what's the precedent with our surrounding neighbor?
I don't know, Pete. I think we're
That'd be
gonna.
good to find
I think
out.
it's a great question. We're still just even deciding because there's a lot of emotion on both sides of that issue. I'm one who's always going to go for public safety and things along that line. I think it's the reason why we're here. But there are privacy issues and things along that people don't want to be recorded, and it's just we're going to have to balance that. And anybody who's got an opinion, like I said, be our eyes and ears. Let us know. I value that input, and I ask for it. So
How wide a expanse an area that a block cameras cover?
pretty much it's mostly up on the commercial area for people coming in and going out, but there is one at the entrance of the
How
big
wide
park.
an area to cover one camera?
I-
I'm wondering if those.
I don't think it's that big.
I don't think it's that big. I think it's grabbing the license
This-
plate, and then that's it. Yeah.
I'm going to guess, and the last thing I think is I don't believe it's more than 50 feet. If Chief is watching, if he can maybe comment on this, but it's not as big as you think, which makes me wonder why they cut those dang crepe myrtles for DOT for license plates.
I'm so glad to see them coming back.
Yeah, they are. Every one of them. Just I'll make a comment there. I looked at every single one, and we did not lose one. Now it's going to be interesting to see how we do the landscaping of that
Right.
as they grow, but every one of them has survived, which is I'm shocked.
Do we have any relationship with TxDOT? Like we have relationship with
Mhm.
constables,
Yeah.
et cetera. But do we have any relationship with TxDOT?
Yes, yeah, I have some contacts, and a lot of times they change so much, Pete. I'm trying to stay on top of them, like with CenterPoint. I'll reach out to one representative, who's like, I'm no longer with, that section, and send me to another one.
You know, when you move to Department of Transport, I mean, that's a bureaucratic group. I think they just made a decision to go out there and cut and have a group, and they went out there and cut and did not realize that there's an interlocal agreement, didn't realize this has been there 24 years. I mean, it was, to me, what I always worry about with government is that they're not very smart and they just go and do. So.
And I ask that not just for the Crepe Myrtles, but also because, the stoplight, the traffic intersection
Yeah.
light
Yeah,
at Nassau Road 1 and Nassau Bay Drive,
Mhm.
which is, I hear is one of the most dangerous intersections in the state now. And when you talk to
is.
like our chief, Tom George, he calls that like a death trap there.
Yeah,
But so that light still for 10 years now, every third light, when it goes from red to green, is 2 seconds, and then it changes again. And it forces people, they run the light.
they
making it
do.
Even more, but it doesn't seem like year after
Well,
year.
they have control over the number of lights and the duration of those lights.
Right, but don't we have any
We
conversation?
we, we
any
do,
input?
we do.
yeah, we do,
So,
we do, yeah.
you know,
They
it's,
just say.
they're,
They've come out. I have a good contact with the lights, and whenever I get a report like that, I email her immediately, and she normally has somebody out. It's just a weird intersection. Like sometimes and I take that intersection leaving to go home, and sometimes you're right, Pete. Sometimes it's quick. You're the second car, and all of a sudden it's already red.
What drives that 2 second is pedestrians crossing Nassau Road.
it could be.
They push the button to cross, and they have 30, 40 seconds. And then right after that cross is when the 2 second light.
So Glenn, I think
Because
that,
I've watched that.
I think that light goes quick even without pedestrians.
That's not what
It's something where I
Drive
think,
every day, so it's nice.
Well, I do too, so.
I think as the redevelopment portions, and we've got a lot of things that are progressing, it's only going to get worse. So, I think though your point's well taken, Pete, which is whatever relationship we have, we should probably work it a little bit more. And, I'm waiting for some legal review on our local agreement because I want to chime in with the head guy there because I believe pretty firmly that we negotiated 25 years ago, that we are the group. TxDOT is a signatory to that. So is the Johnson Space Center, so is Webster, so is Pasadena. Everybody there says that we are the ones responsible for the medians and the aesthetics view. And they came in and whacked it for no good reason. And they whacked it way beyond what they needed to do. And that's in at least in my mind, directly, in the face of an interlocal agreement.
At least they haven't put barriers down like they have on Highway 3. Those little-
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
It really is.
They've got them on 517 down in Dickinson, and they don't have them set right, so you need to turn, but there's a barrier up there. It's like,
Yeah. I wish I had a pole.
A couple of important things on public works side. We are preparing for a hot summer. So we've been doing a lot of work to, we rebuilt some of the aerators at Lake Nassau. We do not need a fish kill. We've installed 250 foot of new wire that kept tripping out. And so we're getting ahead of that. We're preparing for maybe an active hurricane season. We're starting to get that ramped up. All our generators are ready to go. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game just a little bit. But we're really doing a lot of work on the public works side. And a couple.
Let me chime in here. June 1st now is just around the corner. That's hurricane season. One of the things, and this is appropriate place I wanted to interject, you'll see a lot of work being done on Upper Bay Road. We are finally demonstrating a gas turbine pump so that it does not have the reliance on electric power to run. That means the plus side is up until 6 feet. It'll run. It'll keep everything, the emergency things hopefully passable, but if it ever goes above 6 feet, we're going to have to replace that motor. And I think that's a good cost benefit ratio, because our biggest issue, and I've said it here many times, our biggest issue is power to these pumps during storms. And a lot of the flooding and a lot of the emergency, response to be able to get to people have been troubling, because we trip out, pumps don't work without power. And this is a direct demonstration to see if we can do something on natural gas versus that, until we can afford to do something else to get 480, three-phase power in the proper way. So, yeah. And so that's, if you see on Upper Bay Road, they hydroblast it. Yep.
Hydro excavator,
Yep,
yeah,
so,
very impressive, yeah.
And if there's we're looking at what's there in order to put this new pump, this new direction, so we're doing a demonstration. And if it works, we're going to do it in multiple places.
I think you mentioned 5 possible.
At least 3, but I'm with you, Becky. I believe there's 5 locations that could.
Where is it on Upper Bay Road right now?
It's going to be right, Prince William and Upper Bay. You'll see some orange fencing.
All right.
Yeah,
It's
you'll
already
see.
started.
Yeah,
There's
the
a big
white.
hole
Yeah, it's
in the grass.
and the challenge is that we have the 2 discharge lines for the existing pump, and now we're going to add another one and then try to bring in a suction line. So it's going to be a little difficult, but we think we can make it happen. And everything we're looking at is quick connects, coupling. So there may be an option that we can remove it when we don't need to, bring it back. So we're pretty excited about that. So we're hoping that works out good.
Hey, Paul?
Yes, sir.
So our water's been exceptionally high over the last week.
Yes.
Is that from the runoff from the rains up in Conroe?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's a good question, Pete. We've had some work done last week. We're trying to abandon a storm line, and so we've hired a company that comes out, and they come underwater, and they were trying to plug this line, and they just had a hard time because of the high tide. They finally got it.
So just a couple things here. Paul mentions a red valve, and a red valve is basically a check valve in our discharge lines of our flooding, which keeps water from coming back into it. It's a check valve. Those are very old. I believe all of them are dysfunctional. So we're capping one to be able to even do some other work, but we're believing that our ability to do flood mitigation would be better if those are capped, and we have discharge lines other than the ones there. Second, I want to come back to just again June 1st. Please, if there's one thing here, even though we've lifted 90 some houses or whatever, hurricanes are dangerous. Please have a plan. June 1st is coming up. I was looking here. I know we've got a hurricane preparedness thing that the chief is putting on. I can't emphasize enough how important a plan is for citizens, particularly if there's anything that you need for extra consideration, where you've got either somebody who has mobility issues, or if there's anything along that line, take that into account, because the time is your biggest enemy when you have a hurricane, and having a plan is really important. We're obviously doing some things here. I want to make sure, as we get into just before the hurricane season, and again, we sweep the streets, get everything there, get the the trees trimmed up, just so that any type of inclement weather doesn't end up getting into our sewers, and branches don't end up breaking power lines. So you're gonna be seeing some of that. Paul's put together a plan to maybe hire 2 or 3 part-time people that would just be fully dedicated to doing the things in regards to trimming trees, doing things like that. And then
They'll probably be trimming trees for 3 months.
Yeah, for 3 months.
Yeah.
So
some good dates to remember. Next week is National Police Week. You look at the police memorial. It's got beautiful blue LED street guys put in. City Hall Monday morning evening will be all in blue. We'll have all for the rest of the week. Really excited about that. Followed by National Public Works Week, the 19th through the 25th. And this is the first year that the Public Works crew has put together a cooking team, and they will be representing the city along with 39 other cook-off teams. That will be the week of the 12th, 19th. I think it's like the 22nd. It's really fun.
The cook-off.
The cook-off.
Yeah, it's the 19th to the 25th with the 22nd.
22nd on the cook-off, and it's they're going to have the Outlaw Grillers of Nassau Bay, and so we're pretty excited. They've been bringing in food. We actually had a little taste testing competition yesterday. So Ross Patrick from the wastewater plant won the rib category, but Robert from Line Repair also said that there was a tie vote. So it was fun. The guys are excited about it. We'll be using the fire department barbecue trailer. We've got banners. We've got the Public Works first responders flag. So it's really exciting. I'll have some really nice pictures to put out on social media.
Oh, where's it gonna be?
That's going to be in Alvin, and Alvin, yes, is.
Where at it, Alan?
I'd have to send out the. They're expecting about 800 people, and it's Public Works across this whole region. So
Need any extra help? I have a friend that cooks with Lighthouse Cooking Team.
my guys are pretty good. They're pretty good.
I would always accept somebody who's
Yeah.
going to volunteer to help out
Yeah.
like this. So
Yeah,
we'll patch them together.
yeah,
One of the plants. So he's very good.
yeah. I get it, and
He's a
gonna,
ringer,
yeah,
He's a ringer.
and they're going to have
unintended.
a backhoe rodeo, which would be interesting. We're trying to get JR to do that.
Yep.
JR could remove a fly from a fence post with his
And
backhoe.
he is the nicest guy.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. I think he's coming actually on maybe 47 years service. Yeah. Then also we have National EMS Week, May 19th through the 25th. So we'll be doing some things. Maybe have a luncheon for Public Works and the EMS. And we did look at all the plants. We had our landscape contractor come and give us a price. All the dead plants. We were hoping a lot of the stuff would grow back, and it just didn't. And it's 10 years old. So they're actually going to come out and remove everything that's dead, put some plants down, but they're also going to give us some recommendations, some more hardy plants, because we're getting, every year it seems like we're hitting a drought. We're seeing 2 freezes. And so we're gonna try to at least get that maintained to make it look good. So
Plastic.
I've heard river rock.
Now.
I've heard river rock and now plastic. So beside that, the city's looking good. Seems like everything
One
is.
thing I've got and it was because of me, and I don't mind mentioning it. The Marine Safety Workshop's gonna more than likely, we're gonna talk about it on council on Monday, but it looks like May 23rd is going to be the time for that. It was supposed to have been May 3rd, but when I coordinated and organized that, I got a lump on my head because my wife said, "You dummy, that's your son's graduation for Rice University," and I don't believe that that's going to mix well with the commencement as well as with the dinner afterwards. So mea culpa on my part. I apologize, but it's going to be May 23rd, and we really want to review particularly as we get in front of Memorial Day and the holiday season, just everything in regards to our ordinance out there. Make sure that we want to either change to make things tighter, if we want to reaffirm, and look at the resources necessary to make sure that everywhere along the water. I get a lot of people calling about the speed at which people go around the creek, around that hairpin turn in particular. Just the overall safety. Obviously, the Party Cove. There's just a variety of different things where, I think it's time. I don't think we really looked at this for 30 years. So we're going to on the 23rd, and you'll hear more about this because I really want to get the community feedback. Because again, it's a balance between recreation and just the amount of recreation that goes on. Let me say it that way.
What was the fire at the corner of National, San Sebastian and Point Lookout? Because I tried to come into the neighborhood one day and it was.
Oh, you mean it's actually was on Point Lookout. It was not right on San Sebastian. It was actually a line fire. It was that went between, and it actually, I believe, it hit mostly the what's the police officer, the Roy, not the constable, sheriff,
The
trooper.
that.
The trooper.
Right there.
Yeah. So if you look there, it was between those two houses. The line just exploded, went down, and then caught all the trees and that on fire. And I believe went up right next to the state trooper's house. But it was really more between the two than any individual house. And our guys went out there, and we had to wait to have Centerpoint turn it off before we did things because there was some high voltage going through that needed to be, arrested before, doing any mitigation.
Yeah. And on that, I know that, so the way that works, and I've been trying to do a really good job, and Pete always congratulates me and helps me out on things like this, on public, getting stuff out to the public. So on that particular event, I have a really good Centerpoint contract, a representative, and so I immediately text him. He said, "Paul, let me see what's going on." He had to get with his two field guys. They were still investigating and then trying to get the equipment, the trucks and everything they needed to get everything repaired. And so by the time he texted me, we sent something out on social media. And I like to put the outage tracker. That way residents can click on it and see. So I seen we had like 834 residents out. And then
Big number.
yeah, we were like actually texting at midnight, at 2 a.m. And so I just kept seeing them numbers go down. And I think at 4 a.m. it was like maybe 132. And then at 6, it was all 0. So it takes a little bit to coordinate all that with them since we're not the electric company or gas or anything. But we do have some really good representatives. And I try to get out the information as quick as I can. But I know that if I just kind of put a blast out there, I will get some questions like when, where, when's it going to come back on? So I try to get to that information so the residents can have it.
No, I'll give Centerpoint credit this time. They actually got it up and running much quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
So they had a field guy out there who was a take charge, get her done kind of guy. And he got her done. It was done in 6 hours. So yeah. Fair enough. But one of the things that we talked about though is we want to have a sit down with Centerpoint because we had to get on them for Bal Harbor because there was a lot of just unreliable equipment. We were having outages going on. Same time now we've had this. I think it's time where we actually look at the age and the replacement time for a number of the infrastructure for the power. I mean, no big surprise. We've got infrastructure issues where the things here, and I believe we've got to do the same thing with Centerpoint on the power. So
Xfinity got in on that also. They were texting me and letting me.
I know, that's right.
Oh, wow.
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going, okay, so it's
Wow.
gonna be.
Yeah, they said our main box power just went down because of a power outage, from Centerpoint.
So I used to all of the responses.
Yeah,
Okay.
They
And,
were really quite accurate.
yeah, they
and,
were.
and I know in the past, we, the relationship with the city and like Frontier has been bad. I actually have a good working relationship with one of the Frontier guys. And so me and him, whenever he's going to dig, we've ran him off. And so they pull the permits. They let us know. I'm like, you've got to let my residents know that you're going to be in their backyard, front yard. He sends me the scope of work. I glance at it and I make sure whoever's going to be affected, that make sure they get notified in case they have a dog in the backyard or just a courtesy.
Just because we're here, you didn't run him off. What you did is told him what his responsibilities were. If you break something, you got to fix it.
That was the first time. That was the first time. So yeah, so it's coming together really really nice. A lot of communication, a lot of good things for the residents, and I just tell them you got to put yourself in their shoes, and if you have young kids and all that. So we're doing a really good job on that. And then the last thing I have is Mother's Day is Sunday, and
Mother's Day Sunday.
all y'all mothers
Take care
out
of your
there.
moms.
My mom calls it Mother's Day weekend. So so she.
Every day is Mother's Day.
Can you give us an update on city staffing and on the traffic surveys that can be?
The traffic survey is not. We hoping it may be
Well,
this weekend.
So yeah, let me put it here and we talked about this. We need to have 16 days of lead time prior to having a public hearing, and we have to have a public hearing prior to having discussions on City Hall. So we've already said she's getting ready. We're going to post this. There's no question it'll be ready by June.
Mhm.
So for discussion, and we'll have it in place before the 16 days because I want people to have that information, and it's very shortly going to be available.
And then on your next
Staffing.
the staffing. So Cheney will be here next week, and she gave a 30-day notice and moving on to bigger and better things. She has been working a lot with me, and so we've got a plan together. We've actually have a employee that will be shadowing her, making sure that HR stuff just keeps running. We will post that position. It'll be some onboarding issues, looking at hiring a communications person. Already talked
City
to that.
secretary.
Yeah, city secretary. They've been the firm has been reaching out to us, constant communication. So it's just taking a little time.
So we're going to be getting the full tranche of resumes for the city secretary. They've been going out at different things this week. So we'll be kicking off the review of those for the city secretary here, probably starting either Friday or Monday of this next week or the following week. So for that, I want to put in a plug for Cheney because there's been a lot of email chatter, which I think does a great disservice to her. She's been one of the most valued, employees. She's done a great job as our human resource director. If you talk, she's done communications. She's truly done everything that's been asked, and she does it with a smile, and she does it efficiently. She does not want to leave Nassau Bay, but she's also a single mom who is an excellent HR professional, and she has been offered a job we just cannot touch. And I'm really happy for her. It's significantly more money, not just the pay. I mean, she's moving up the managerial ladder. She's going to be managing a group of at least 3 individuals. So we just do not have the people, employees, and things like that to run a 5-6 person HR department here in Nassau Bay. We have a 1 person, which is a director, and from that standpoint, she has, I believe through the efforts that she did here, the issues that she took advantage, that she led us through, has led her to a promotion, and I am really happy for her. So I wish her the very best, and I thank her for just the smiles that she had here. She really livened up and was a excellent, structured professional. Yeah. So good for her.
And typically, you know, I commend Cheney because typically if it was anybody else, you know, she's not even taking off no time. She's going straight into work. You know, I would have took off 2 weeks.
They wanted her to not even give 2 week notice.
Yeah. And Cheney's so
She said no,
committed, and
30 days.
she's, you know, just constant. She just didn't want to leave and leave us in bad shape. And so, you know, weekends she's actually training. She's been emailing me at night. You know, she's just a trooper. She's just 110%. And you know, somebody give me 30 days notice, and you know, working with me and working with staff. You know, it just shows her dedication. You know, we're gonna miss her. We love her to death, and so. But it's a great opportunity for Cheney. So.
That's all right. But you know, as much as I'd like her to stay, I'm really happy she's moving up the responsibility and professional step. So she's doing well.
Hey, Bill, well, if you see us ducking out a little early, we're heading over to Mr. Tom Snedeker
Yes.
at Nassau Bay Baptist Church in 15 minutes.
Okay.
And so anyone listening online, we're doing his.
Let me chime in here because they may not be able to hear you, Pete. Is Tom Snedeker a very, very long time resident in Nassau Bay?
One of the first.
One of the first,
Really?
right there on the Street of Dreams.
Wow.
Nassau Bay Drive was
Nassau Bay
the
Drive.
Street of Dreams. It was the first things there, and he's the second house on the right, I believe it is.
Yes.
And he passed away, I believe, in March.
Yep.
In March, and the funeral is at St. Paul's.
No, Nassau Bay Baptist. Church.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Nassau Bay Baptist Church. Again, Tom Snedeker's funeral at Nassau Bay Baptist Church at
This
10 o'clock.
morning- This morning,
Yep.
10
So
o'clock,
within 15 minutes.
15
So
minutes.
all right,
Heading over there.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
that works. All right.
And as an aside, ironically, years ago, he was T-boned at that bad intersection of Nassau Bay Drive and Nassau Road 1.
Yeah.
And his son Kevin told me a couple days ago that since he was T-boned, he lived. Obviously, he survived that, but he was never the same.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I bet.
Hmm.
I bet.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Pete. That's all I have, man.
So any other questions? Any other comments?
I just wanted to ask about the, down there on NASA, the Hilton,
Yeah.
the property next to it, what's going on?
So I hear they've been basically on hold trying to figure out what the Hilton's planning on doing, and the Hilton has delayed some of their renovation plans. My understanding is there are two options that he's looking at depending on what the Hilton does. The first is he came forward to I believe get a specific use permit to put in townhomes there that are going there, and that's the current plan that's been approved, right? I've also heard that he's thinking about a different approach. If the Hilton does things where they're trying to become a destination hotel with things along that line, he may put in a restaurant or a pool recreational area with maybe some a mini area on the boardwalk that he may develop right there. So, but that's what I know, and I haven't seen.
Like everything just kind of come to a stop.
Yeah.
Backfilling.
So-
tearing up the dock,
so what I-
practice.
What I can say, the reason why he has it on hold is because the Hilton has looked at wanting to completely enhance their exterior. They may want to work with a developer in order to put in like a food court, and they want to look at maybe even putting in wedding type things and make it and even look at a marina that's there to be a return to where they were like a destination hotel. Right now they're a JSC, hotel, and they're getting ready to renovate everything on the inside, and now they're also wanting to renovate everything on the outside. And I think the developer's looking at which way you, because he said,
They already get issued a work permit or anything on what they've been doing?
so I believe it's,
For what they've been doing, yes, sir.
But it's nothing.
It's probably expired, probably.
so what I understand, just to be clear, they started down the path of putting up townhomes.
Yeah.
And then they found out they may have like a huge recreational area right next to them. And they're wondering, should they dovetail with that or should they do the townhomes? And a lot depends on what the Hilton has done. And I have not heard, I know they're imminent in regards to saying whether they're going to make the funds available to redevelop to a food court destination, a lot more people, things along that line. And I think the developer is going to decide depending on what the Hilton decides, which I can understand actually. So.
Is there a whole, I mean, I don't know if you have a work permit and everything else. What do you do?
He-
Extend it over?
That's what they do is right now he's got a specific use permit for townhomes on that location. And he has a valid work permit to progress along the designs because there was all sorts of infrastructure work for sanitary
Yeah.
sewer, stuff like that for a townhome approach, right? So he himself, rather than putting in the capital dollars to put in like that infrastructure, depending on what happens, will be very different between those two scenarios. That's real money. I mean, that's $1 million. So that's why it's not on hold by the city if that's what you're wanting to know.
No. I didn't think
It's
that.
not the city. Yeah.
Looks like he kind of abandoned.
So he-
ship on
No, he himself has put his own capital dollar investment on hold pending what happens to the Hilton. Okay. Anything else?
The expiration of, related subject, expiration of permits ever resolved, expiration.
No, that's on. Yeah. So for what? Maybe
Well,
I'm.
just in general. There
So
was an issue with, with that first house on Nassau Bay Drive that sat there for
we
years with no work. being done.
we had, there's two issues here. One we've worked, one that's still open. Let me say it that way.
Okay.
If work takes too long, we can pull the permit because if they're not doing work and may change something, we want to make sure they come back and do things. So it has a sunset, let me say it that way, a sunset for that. What we don't have, and it's at Dick Gregg's desk, is to talk about what happens if somebody is working on their house on a permit and they keep renewing it for 5 years and don't complete it. What are our options there? And that's a tough one. That's a tough issue. Just legally what you can do, because it's personal property. But I believe, Glenn, just to dance with you a little bit, is I've heard a number of complaints of citizens that we are too lenient in regards to, completion times for work permitting. And we're trying to think what we can do, and I don't have a good answer for you right now. But that is a real vocal issue that people have said, and that house is one of them.
Yeah, it's more a problem, I think, in residential areas than commercial.
Correct. I mean, commercial people, they want to
Yeah,
get
they
their
want
revenue going,
dollars.
right?
Yeah.
They've got a return on investment that they're looking at. Residential, people can, hang on to a thing for just investment speculation and whatever. I mean, it's their personal property. They can't put a business up. So, all right,
Okay.
all right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
5 minutes up.
Right. In live stream.